Yes, we're going to take a look at Module 69 and the solutions to the problems at the end of that. In Module 69, there are two check your understandings. So the first one says, suppose the government imposes, let me get rid of that there, imposes a price control on the market for college professors and imposes a wage that's lower than the market wage. Describe the effect of the policy on the production of college degrees. What sectors would be adversely or badly affected by this policy? What sectors would benefit? Okay, so one thing to think about, right, with this, and there's just a lot going on in this question. One would be is that the of supply of professors would decrease. Professors would decrease. Fewer professors would mean that we have fewer courses taught, so therefore fewer courses. So we'd say in terms of the production of degrees, we would say there's fewer degrees because there's less people willing to be the input in the creation of degrees, right? So the professors are an input and these are the output. And this is saying, hey, if you cap the price of these people are going to walk. They're going to go do something else, and that then you will have a lowered output. There's all kinds of different things that might hurt the economy here. You think about, like, you probably would have hurt, right? You have hurt maybe the college textbook industry, college book industry, right? And you might hurt the local store that sells the books and things like that. Help? Well, you would help the people who are hiring these guys. So maybe the professors go and work somewhere else. Maybe they work in a different sector. Let's say it's an economics professor. What else can they do? Well, maybe they go work in accounting. They help the accounting industry, right? Which is kind of a strange thing, but you would say, like, well, that would help them because they have more workers, so that by lowering the wages, right, of those workers, because there's more supply of the workers. So this one's kind of a funky hypothetical, but I think it's more just designed to get you to think about that problem than anything else. There's not truly a whole lot of right and wrong answers with that one. Number two says, suppose service industries such as retailing and banking experience an increase in demand. These industries use relatively more labor than non-service industries. Does the demand for labor shift to the right, left, or remain unchanged? So for this one, if we're just talking about service industries, if there's an increase, if demand increases for the product, right, we would say, therefore, the price of the product rises for the product. If that's true, therefore, the MRP of workers goes up, because MRP, if you don't remember, MRP is the marginal product times the price of what they're producing. And if that's true, the demand increases for labor. So we'd say that would increase the demand, and thus they would shift to the right, because that's an increase. Okay? B. Suppose diminishing fish populations off the coast of Maine lead to policies restricting the use of the most productive types of nets. The result is a decrease in the number of fish caught per day by fishermen. The price of fish is unaffected. Does the demand curve for fishers in Maine shift to the right, left, or remain unchanged? So if the price is unaffected, but the marginal product, right, the number of fish caught per day, if the MP goes down, then we would say the MRP of the workers goes down. So therefore, the demand for the labor goes down, and therefore it shifts to the left. So again, this is just saying the marginal product, the number of fish caught per day, goes down. The price stayed the same, so that means the MRP, because MRP is the marginal product times the price, of the workers goes down. That's the demand for labor, so it shifts to the left. Let's take a look at these multiple choice problems. Problem number 1. Which of these is an example of physical capital? So this book makes a distinction, and it's an important one, between financial capital and human capital and physical capital. Physical capital would just be like tangible stuff, the stuff used to make other things. Human capital is the idea of like the training and the specialization, the skills of your workers. So that's more often called labor. And then financial capital is an entirely different thing, but that's usually the money that's being used to generate physical capital. So the list here is manual labor. No, that's not human. That's human capital. Welding equipment, that is physical capital because it's the tools or machinery. Farmland is just land. Lumber is just land. And education is human capital. So the correct answer here is just B. Number 2, which can shift factor demand to the right? An increase in the price of the good, that's true. An increase in the factor's productivity, also true. And a technological advance. Now this one can throw students, but realistically, if there's a technological advance, that's going to improve the factor's productivity. So 2 and 3 are the same statement. So the correct answer is all 3 of them E. Because remember, demand for labor, or for any factor, is just the marginal product times the price. So this is the productivity, and that's the price. So either one of those 2 changes, you're going to change the demand. Number 3, factor market demand is called derived demand because it derives from the product market. So the correct answer here is D. It's just derived from the demand for the product. Number 4, which factor receives the largest portion of income in the United States? This is something that the book has in it that talks a little bit about it. It's something to know. Labor is typically the largest compensated factor of production. They receive the largest portion. So the correct answer is B. And number 5, the individual firm's demand curve for labor is the MRP. So that's just A. And so demand equals MRP, or DULMRP, if we remember from class. Now let's take a look at the FRQ number 2. FRQ number 2, and this one says, draw separate correctly labeled graphs illustrating the effect of each of the following on the demand for labor, and adopt the ceteris paribus assumption that all else remains unchanged. So A, and then B, and then C. So for each of these, we have Q, L, and W, Q, L, W, Q, L, and W. And we're going to start with demand for labor going down, just like normal. That's our DULMRP, right? So if you want to write out DULMRP, you can. I'm just going to use DL. The first one says the price of the product being produced decreases. So MRP is DULMRP, right? And MRP is MP times the price. So this is saying the price goes down. So if that goes down, the demand should decrease. So DULMRP decreases. Demand shifts to the left. For the second one, the worker productivity increases. So DULMRP, right, MP times P. So the productivity goes up, so that means DULMRP goes up. Okay? And the third one, firms invest in more capital to be used by the workers. So more capital means more machines, means that each worker's productivity will rise. So think about those paper chains. If I had given you more staplers and scissors, the productivity would have risen. So that's DULMRP increasing as well. So hopefully that helps you make sense a little bit of Module 69. I'll see you next time.